Okay, everything looks good now, so welcome to the afternoon session. And my name is Siegfried Schindler. I'm a professor in inorganic chemistry, but interested since a long time on digital gadgets and all kind of internet learning and so on. And since a couple of years, I am, and together with a good team, we're interested very much into working with virtual reality, augmented reality. I would call it more like mixed reality. And today I would like to tell a little bit about what you can do already, not only gaming, but you can do more things. And especially I try to motivate people to work in virtual reality, augmented reality, and especially to use these labs here in Gießen and in Marburg. So test out these things or so, because we have lots of fun stuff here. And I think it's very important to do that. Okay, so I guess you all know Pokemon, and this is extremely well how this is done, that you can do this. And this is not, well, this is the fun of it, but what you can do is if you go further on the slides, next one, does it work now? Yeah, okay. So you can use the same things for chemistry actually, and here's a very easy way also that use augmented reality for to do this. You can actually do much, much more. No, it works. That's perfect. I hope some of you, if you want to try something at home, you can use IKEA Places to find your furniture at your own place or so. This is quite good, and this is, I think, one of the really good applications to test something. For people in biology, it's Frogipedia, which allows you to dissect the frog and to do all kinds of things to see the skeleton. I think the frogs are happy, and biology students are happy too, that you can probably do this in virtual reality as well. I think some still have to do it, but there's also for history. For example, the German station WDR has put in that you can talk to witnesses about the Second World War. So that's quite interesting. And one of the really interesting things is GigSpace, what you can do. And GigSpace is one of the perfect augmented reality systems where you can put in stuff in your living room, like this flash chemistry what I put in here. Or what you can do is you can really do a workshop and you can put stuff in it. So this is just a brief video how you prepare this. It's very, very easy. You have all kinds of things for different subjects, and here it's showing how to do them. So one of the things is what you can do. I didn't bring, well, I have the t-shirt today, is you can wear a t-shirt with a marker on it, and then you look like this. People always ask me if that's my real internal body or so, because it looks so real. The other things, there's object viewer, co-spaces. You can look at this. I can give the PDF of my slides, and there will be also the internet links so that you can look at the different things. And this allows you a lot of stuff for the augmented reality to use in teaching. Because we're talking more today about the virtual reality, I would like to go on that you can actually do this in a very, very cheap way by yourself. You don't need a real great game lab to start with it. And that is, you just get one of these Google Cardboard classes, which is about, this one was €5, so it's quite cheap. And you can use your mobile phone, you can do nice things with it. And I can recommend a couple of things. You can, first of all, you can watch 360-degree videos. You can go on a roller skater, which is kind of interesting. So you get sick, but you get a good idea about how good the imaging is to be on one of these roller coasters. But you can look also on other different kind of 360-degree videos. We have the Nobel Prize right now. You can look into the laboratories of the Nobel Prize winners and stuff like this. So it's quite good also to use this, and it's very cheap. There's for school, there's like chemistry, and this allows you to do quite a lot of chemistry just in these €5 cardboard classes and your smart classes. So you can really, really do already quite something for teaching. It's very, very good. It's excellent. So it's really worth us to play around with it. Most of the stuff is free. Some of the stuff, if you really get into it, you have to pay some money for it. But for the beginning, this is quite good. And Wonder is something that is used by US University, that you combine 360-degree videos together with people coming in as a video. So you have a teacher coming in, he tells you stuff, and then you have to do things. It's perfectly well done. It has been extremely expensive when they did this, but now I think we can do this ourselves here as well. It's still a little bit problematic, but this shows you what the possibilities are. For us, it's really good because you can use this, for example, if you go into a new laboratory, you can get some good introduction or so, how to start, safety instructions and so on. We're actually working on that we will do something like this. So these are the kind of simple things. And if you want to get a little bit more expensive, this is, I think, now the real cool stuff. And this means, yeah, either the Oculus Quest 2 currently, but the new Quest will be coming out on October 11th. So next week we will have a new start in the Oculus Quest Pro, and then there will come out the Oculus Quest 3 or 4 or whatever. So stuff is moving. There's also the Pico, which is, the Quest is by Facebook or now Meta, and the Pico is by TikTok. So you have the different companies fighting against each other. And the new Pico is out, the Pico 4, and we're using the Pico 3 over here. And these are extremely good VR headsets already that you can really do quite a lot of stuff with these. And these are all standalone headsets. These, I think, are the most popular ones. There are a couple of other ones, but these two, I think, these sets are the ones that you really want to use. There's also cable-connected ones. As Mareike and the Marburg lab showed, they have these very high, fancy headsets over here, and they're useful for if you want to have really very good projections on the things you're doing. But for many things, you can use the standalone headsets, and they will become better anyway. So I'm only we're using these standalones for the moment. And the most important thing is about where you're working on for gaming. There are a couple of things, but I mean, we want to do this for teaching, to use this. And this is actually one of the problems also to find out on which platform we should work in the end. And at the moment, there are a couple of platforms or apps that are interesting. There's, for one thing, there's Engage, which I think is the most sophisticated one, which has a platform on that. There's Spatial, there's Mozilla Hubs, and there's also three-spin learning. I only just recently got a little bit familiar with three-spin learning, so I cannot tell too much about it, but I think it's a great platform, so we will work on that. I think it's really good for teaching, and so we're looking forward to look more into that to use it. But especially we'll tell a little bit about Engage, Spatial, and Mozilla Hubs, and show you some examples what to do. Yeah, or you can do your own platform, which is a little bit more difficult, but people are doing this. There are a couple of groups who are actually working on their own platforms or doing something like that. And this might become more common if we are really going into the metaverse. Now, for Engage, I have a video on that. It will not be very good because we had the technical problems here with Zoom. When I was recording this, it was also over 3 computers, so it's kind of like it's not smoothly running. Sometimes it's difficult. It's easy to project it on one computer, but if you want to record everything else, sometimes this is more difficult. But to give you an idea, so this is in Engage, and the nice thing is really you are in a lecture room like this here, so you can actually do your lecture as you would do it in a regular lecture room. You're just in VR, so you're in virtual reality. The lecture room actually looks pretty much like our lecture room, and I put here a fun distillation set in here, so a little bit more different. You get all the stuff. The distillation apparatus was done by us, by ourselves with a CD object, and we have a little bit more effects or so, which you don't need to do. This just goes for the fun. Normally, in teaching, if you do this 3 times, everybody will get bored. So for one time, it's fine, but afterwards or so, I think we can just focus on the real things. But just for the fun of it or so, it's kind of interesting to play around with it. And Engage, I can tell you a little bit more about that if anybody's interested or so. This is it's a commercial platform, and you really can do nice things with it. And it's for many, many applications. It's quite useful in teaching and for learning languages, for music concerts and so on. So this is very, very interesting from the platforms. And I think it's the most sophisticated one. The other one which I really like is Spatial. It's also commercial, but most of the stuff you can do on that is actually free. So it's really good because you don't have to pay for it, and you can upload your own environment. I can actually start what we have done over here. That's Anna. She recorded this, and she didn't record, but she put up this laboratory. It's right outside of our real university building. So we have this up here. She put in the distillation setup over here. And if you look around, you see this is our university campus, actually, because this is put in here. And this is kind of a laboratory where you can actually build up stuff. Coffee is also important, so we put some coffee in here as well. Very, very important. Mareike mentioned this for the real lab over here. And the nice thing is you can bring also in, by LiDAR scan your own rooms, and this works fine. So we actually have recorded our own lecture room right now, and you can even walk in there. So this is quite nice. So this is something which is coming up. And then we have Mozilla Hubs. Mozilla Hubs is completely free, it's open source, and it's a web-based system, and we've started to use this. And I had one student who got the idea, and 5 students altogether really worked on that, and it was fascinating what they did. The idea was, I think many of you know the periodic system. This is terrible for students who have to learn it, the student had the idea to do this as a house. The 118 elements are all different rooms, 118 rooms. And so putting in each room stuff which is important to know on that. And they thought they could probably put up quite many rooms for that. They succeeded after a lot of work to do one room. And this was the nitrogen room. And just to give you an idea how it looks like. So this is not set up. Sorry, my avatar looks a little bit funny, but I just used the regular one. And this is the room they created. They also learned a lot about chemistry, by the way, on that. And you can go in here. Can walk in there, and this is, as I said, the nitrogen room. This has been recorded on the computer again. It's much nicer if you go into the virtual reality classes. And you can see, for example, in the back, there's a car. This is the nitrogen oxide, what we all know from the diesel problems or so, and also has an airbag, which is coming up and going away, which is also a nitrogen compound. And on the right side, we have Justus Liebig, and we have his fertilizer story. On the right side, you see that with the fertilizer, the tree grows. And one of the funny things is also, it looks a little bit like Harry Potter. We have Justus Liebig in the picture. He's actually moving around. He's not stepping out of the picture, but at least he smiles at you at one point and gives you kind of some motivation and that you can learn some chemistry on that. So these are really nice and interesting things where you can use this. And yeah, programs used, was mentioned before one time, for creating the 3D objects. One of the main programs that's used is Blender. And I was always amazed what our students did with Blender. I will show you one example in a moment or so. It's kind of crazy what they really are able to do if you let them do this. And so you can either create these objects in Blender, or you actually, the new thing is you can make these 3D objects in virtual reality. There are programs, which is, I think I like this, needs to be a little bit better, but then you're in virtual reality and then you create your object. So you have Blender in VR, which is easier to use instead of a flat computer screen, but there's still some problems as usually with all the software things. And then you can buy 3D objects. And this might be also interesting, or we can put up a shop and sell stuff in the future, so we can make all kind of nice things. But for chemistry, there's not so much that you really can buy, so we have to make most of these things by ourselves, because most of these objects are made for games, and this is not what we want. It looks funny, but we don't want to have these objects. They're a little bit crazy for our teaching. And then you have Unity and Unreal Engine. These are the gaming programs to get things, if you really want to get into it and really to program what you want to do with this. And this is a picture which has been done in Blender, from Blender. The different glassware. This is actually put up on a lab bench in our lab. You can see the yellow stickers on our drawers over here. So this is the real lab. And it's put up here. It looks like a photograph. The thing is, you recognize it's no photograph because no glassware would just stand on this tip over here and fall immediately. But this was created by one of our students who started to do this, and everything is created in Blender. Actually, the fun fact is that she was doing this at home, and her mother was watching, and she said, "What are you doing?" She said, "I'm doing this," and their mother said, "I want to do it as well." So this actually is what most of the stuff is done by the mother of the student. So we get everybody excited about virtual reality. So we got this complete set. And perfect glassware. So this is going to be in our next setup or so that we do this, and I think it looks really, really good. And then we have, this was in principle we started much earlier with our virtual reality, not because of Corona, but many years before. And right before Corona, we actually started here with Move to the Power of 2. That was done together with Marburg also, that we had worked with excited people about virtual reality, and this is where we got into a little bit more onto that. And from there on, I would like to tell you a little bit also what you still can do. One of the things which excites me is office spaces. You can now, there are about 5 or 6 apps that you can use in virtual reality that you can create your own office. And the latest one is also by Facebook, whatever Meta it's called right now, that you have your virtual office space, you have your computer, and you put up as many screens as you want in front of you. Huge screens, you don't have to buy a screen anymore. And this is going to be better and better. And in the future, it will be kind of a different setup or so, how we work. So in a way, also you can collect other people into the room. But this is something I think everybody really wants to look into that. Problem still is these headsets are too heavy. So after 1 hour, you get headaches or you're tired and you don't want to use it anymore. But in principle, this is much better than just sitting in front of your computer. You can really make everything perfectly well in virtual reality here. So this is something I normally had a video, but because we don't have so much time, I don't want to spend the time on that. And one of the programs which excited me, which is interesting for chemistry, biochemistry, biology, and also for medicine, is NanoMe. And this is a program that actually worked also on the coronavirus on that. This is where you can actually go into together with other people and you can upload molecules. In that case, I load up an enzyme over here. This is carbonic anhydrase, an enzyme which we need for our breathing. And so you can really look into that and you can take this, it will take a while or so, you can put it apart, you can do all kind of things with it, and yeah, you can work together. You can take out amino acids, and when people work on the coronavirus, they could work together and to check on the different setup on that. So this was really nice. Here I put looking into the active site of the enzyme, and when I was in that for the first time, it looks not so spectacular on the screen. But if you're in virtual reality and you're in the middle of an enzyme and you just play around with the active site, that's, I think, fantastic or so. Not only for me as a chemist, but I think whoever works with proteins or in medicine or so, I think that's something which is really, really good. And then I think what's coming up more is, as I said in the beginning, we will have a mixer, so it will be mixed or extended reality. So we will have not only virtual reality, but we will have augmented reality headsets. We actually have here in the lab, Mareike and Eva have here the Magic Leap. We also have the HoloLens, and this is quite interesting to look into these. So they're quite expensive. HoloLens, I think HoloLens 2 is, I think, still 4,500 euros or something like that. But they will become cheaper, and you can do this is difficult to show on here. You have to try it yourself. Whoever tried a HoloLens or a Magic Leap is very, very excited about it, because you have stuff around you or people around you who are not there. It's crazy. It's absolutely fantastic, and you have to do it one time yourself to see that. And we have here, that's Mathis Franco was involved and is still involved in this project where he's wearing the Magic Leap. And we put up also for teaching and learning, we put up the distillation setup in augmented reality. And it's nice because you see everybody in the room, but you have also in front of you, you can put up the things and you can really use it. So I think it's probably more the future what's coming up. So virtual reality also has its advantages, but I think we should see these things together. And that's why people also talk about extended and also about mixed reality. This is what we're doing also. One of the things that you can do with virtual reality is that you can work together. And we're actually doing this with lots of problems. You saw before with the Zoom problems. Now, if you do this in virtual reality, there are a few more problems before it works. But this is our partner university in Padua in Italy. And I was there in spring this year. And they also have a whole set of, in that case, they have the Quest 2, actually, as you can see. Here's myself, here are the students. There are about 10 of these Oculus Quest class headsets. Normally don't do this in the same lecture room, but this was trying to get them in. Otherwise, it's a little bit stupid, everybody with headsets in one lecture room. I mean, why don't you just talk to each other in the normal way? But in that case, it was for testing. And we're going to have lectures together with Padua. So we have students of us and students from Padua in there. So this is a real scenario, and it's not like Zoom. They are in the virtual reality in a way, they are there that you can contact them. In the Quest, you even feel a handshake. So that's quite exciting. You can exchange material, you can give them something, they can give me something. That's pretty amazing or so. So it's not that somebody can, like in Zoom, you're going away for taking a cup of coffee or so, you cannot escape. And this is something I can recommend if you want to know a little bit more about the metaverse. I'm just finishing up this book. This is by Matthew Ball. The metaverse and how it will revolutionize everything. So that's, if somebody is interested to learn a little bit more, I can highly recommend this book. That's pretty much a very, very good overview of what's coming up. With this, Yeah, I'm at the end. Trying for this, as I said, it's just the tip of the iceberg, but just trying to get you excited about and trying things. And we have the time today a little bit, so people who are here in the room or outside this room can actually try some of the stuff. And I only can highly recommend everybody else who is online in our Zoom meeting over here to come either to Gießen or to go to Marburg and go into the lab and really put these classes on. If you haven't done this, try this and figure out what you can do for your own teaching. It's not only about chemistry, as I said, you can use it for everything or so, and it's amazing what you can do. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.